The sympathizer. You are 17 years old and you already know which side you're on. You don't say it like that. Not yet. What you say is that Muggleborns taking spots at Hogwarts is a systemic issue. What you say is that the Ministry is weak. That Dumbledore is sentimental. That blood purity is simply a matter of heritage, cultural, not cruel. You use careful words. Academic words. The kind that let you believe you're thinking, not choosing. Your family has always believed this, not violently, quietly, the way certain things are understood at the dinner table, without being spoken. A look exchanged when a name comes up, a comment left unfinished. You absorbed it the way you absorbed your mother's accent, your father's posture, without deciding to. It was simply in the air of the house, and you breathed it. At school, you find others. Not a group, exactly, more like a gravity. You sit near each other, in the common room, you share certain silences. There is a boy, Avery, who speaks a little more openly than you do. He says things you've thought, but haven't said, and each time he says them and nothing bad happens, the thought calcifies a little more. Becomes a little more real, a little more acceptable. You are not a bad person. This is the thing you will return to, later, when there is nothing else to hold. You were never cruel in the way that small people are cruel. You didn't enjoy hurting people. You had friends. You laughed. You had a version of yourself that existed in daylight and seemed entirely ordinary. But you also never stopped the conversation. Never said, "That's enough. I don't believe that." You let Avery speak. You nodded sometimes. You didn't nod violently, just enough. The small permissions. There is a name that circulates, always a little indirectly. He who must not be named, but among certain people, and so differently know it fear. With something closer to reverence. Like someone is building something, and you might be invited to see it. You are not recruited, not formally. There is no meeting, no pamphlet. No moment where someone says, "Would you like to join?" What happens, instead, is slower. You are simply in proximity to the right people, at the right time, holding the right opinions, and little by little the distance between you and them closes. Avery asks you once, casually, if you'd like to come to something. He doesn't explain what. You say yes. You don't think about it. Afterwards, that's the detail. You go to sleep that night, and you don't lie awake wondering what you agreed to. You just sleep. And that, more than anything that comes after, is who you already were. Level I, the initiate. The meeting is in a house you don't recognize, in a part of the country you have never been. There are 9 people in the room. You know 2 of them. The others are masked, and for a moment you almost laugh. It seems theatrical, almost embarrassing, but no one else is laughing, and the feeling passes quickly. The masks are white, smooth. They reflect the candlelight in a way that makes it impossible to read anything behind them. There is a ceremony. It is short. Someone speaks words you will not repeat, even in your own mind afterwards. Not because you were told not to, but because something about them doesn't feel like language. Feels more like a key turning. You say what you are told to say. You extend your arm. The dark mark takes 11 seconds. You count. You don't mean to, but you count, because there has to be something to hold onto while it happens. The pain is not what you expected. It doesn't announce itself. It finds you from the inside, like something reaching through the skin from below, and by the time it finishes, you are breathing through your nose very slowly, and your left hand is gripping the back of a chair, and you are hoping no one notices. No one says anything when it ends. There is no applause, no welcome, no handshake. The masked figure's separate, and a man whose name you will later learn is. Mulciber hands you a robe and a mask of your own and tells you to put them on. You look down at your forearm. The mark is dark and slightly raised at the edges, like something printed on the skin from a great pressure. It doesn't hurt anymore. Will hurt when it cal. But right now, it just sits there, black and permanent, and you think, this is the most real thing that has ever happened to me. You meet others at this level, initiates like you, new. You can tell because they still have the disoriented quality of people who have just stepped off something moving. Not Rosia, a girl from Boksbattens you will never speak to again after this night. What you share is not friendship, it's proximity to the same threshold. The assignments begin the week after, small ones. You carry a message, sealed, from one part of London to another. You don't know what it says. You're not meant to. You deliver it to a man who opens the door without looking at you, takes the envelope, closes the door. That's all. You do two more like this. Then a third, that is different. You wait outside a building for 40 minutes, and when a woman comes out, you follow her for 3 blocks, and then turn around and walk away and report back that you did. Reportum, and through what channel, you will never know. You notice that no one explains the purpose of anything. At Hogwarts, every lesson had a syllabus. Here, there is no syllabus. You are given a piece of the picture, only the piece assigned to you, and the picture itself is never shown. This is not an accident. You understand that slowly. The incompleteness is structural. It protects the organization, yes. But it also keeps you from ever being able to see enough to object. You are loyal to something you cannot describe. And somehow that feels, right now, like the purest kind of loyalty there is. Level 2, the proven the first real assignment, comes at midnight on a Tuesday. You are told there is a family in Wiltshire. A Muggleborn who has been talking to the wrong people. You are given an address. You are told you will not go alone. Rosier will be with you, and that your task is to make a statement. Not an ending, a statement. You don't ask what the difference is. The house is ordinary, curtains drawn. A bicycle leaned against the fence. The front door opens with a silent spell and you step into a hallway that smells of cooking, something with rosemary, and you think of your mother's kitchen, and you push that away immediately, and you follow Rosier up the stairs. The woman is in the study. She doesn't scream. She goes very still, the way prey animals go still, and looks at you both, and her eyes move from Rosier's wand to your mask, to the door behind her, that she has already calculated is too far away. You watch this calculation happen. You watch her understand. What follows takes 4 minutes. You are the one who holds the binding spell. You don't cast the other ones. You tell yourself this afterwards. Precisely, and repeatedly. You held the binding. Rosier cast the rest. There is a line there. You insist on the line. On the walk back, Rosier talks about Quidditch. Asks if you saw the Falcons game. You say you didn't. He tells you about a play in the 3rd quarter that was remarkable. His voice is entirely normal. His hands are steady. Yours are not. You put them in your pockets. You don't sleep that night. Not for the reason you might expect. Not because of guilt. Exactly. It's something more like vibration. Like something in your nervous system has been tuned to a frequency it doesn't know how to come down from. You lie on your back in the dark and the ceiling is very white, and you think about the bicycle against the fence. You think, whose bicycle is that? You think, I should not be thinking about the bicycle. By morning, you have decided. something. You decide that the mission was necessary. That there is a war, and wars have costs. That the woman will recover, and what she was doing, feeding information to the Order, was itself a choice with consequences. You build this logic deliberately, brick by brick, in the grey light before dawn, and when it's done it stands up. It holds, and this construction, is the real initiation, not the dark mark, not the robes. This, the first time you build a reason, from scratch. The first time you become the author of your own justification. Rosier is promoted the following month. You are told you acquitted yourself well, no one says of what, exactly. You already know that no one will. Your hands stop shaking before the end of the week. This happens faster than you expected. You make a note of this. Then you stop making notes. Level 3. The trusted you are given a name. Now, when you enter rooms, not your own name. A kind of status, without a word attached to it. People make space. Conversations pause when you approach and resume in a different register. You did not notice when this started. At some point, it simply was. The Dark Lord has begun to consolidate power in ways that are no longer theoretical. The Ministry has people inside it. Not spies, employees. People who go to work and, when needed, look away from the right things at the right time. You are trusted with information, with movement, with decisions that used to require approval, but no longer do. You meet Lucius Malfoy at the manor. He pours your wine before his own. He speaks in the lateral, glancing way that people at this level speak. Everything implicit, nothing confirmed. You complete the sentences. He notices. Terry Montpussy, who left 3 months ago. Quietly, he is in Scotland now, running a greenhouse. Someone mentioned it. Once, the way you'd mention weather, and the conversation moved on. You don't think at times, past midnight, please doesn't fix. He appears briefly, at the edge of your thoughts. A greenhouse, quiet hours. No one watching, you dismiss it. Every team. Level 4. The inner circle you are in the room when he speaks. His voice is quiet. The kind of quiet that comes from someone who has never needed to raise it. He knows your name, not just your name, your record. One thing you did in Manchester 3 years ago that you told no one about. He mentions it the way you'd mention a street you've both walked down. You understand something no previous level prepared you for. There is no inside. You thought trust would accumulate until you. Level 5. After the fall you are in Azkaban for 3 years before the Dementors stop surprising you. They take, in no particular order, a summer when you were 11. Your father's voice, the smell of your first home. By the 2nd year, there is less to take. By the 3rd you have memorized the intervals between patrols, and you spend those minutes doing the only thing that still functions, thinking. He falls. You hear it from a guard who doesn't know you're listening. The boy who lived, it should mean something large. What you feel instead is smaller and more honest, that you are still here. That the thing you built your life around lasted 20 years and ended on a Tuesday. You think about the boy you were at 17. The careful words, the small nod that meant nothing, you told yourself. You look for the moment you became something different from that boy. You cannot find it, not because it doesn't exist. Because it was never a moment. It was an accumulation, each. Permission, too small to be the line, and all of them together, the line. Somewhere in Scotland there is a greenhouse. A man who left before the leaving became impossible. You don't dismiss him.